What's happening, everybody? Josh here, getting ready to make another video. Apologies for the delay in production. Things got out of hand with work and stuff like that, and life, and it's been a bit of chaotic, quite a lot of chaos going on, but everything's back under control. Decided to take a bit of a break from first-person RPGs and first-person games. Just wanted to do something a little bit more relaxed. So I've decided I'm gonna do a Oxygen Not Included Let's Play. I've got Oxygen Not Included, I've got the Spaced Out DLC, and I've got the Frosty Planet Pack. So we're going to be doing some of that. If you haven't played Oxygen Not Included, it's a really awesome little sandbox game that's quite complicated, or gets quite complicated, I should say. And the whole premise is that basically the world's destroyed and you have to send your dupes into space. So pulling an Elon Musk here, send out people into space to build a new civilization. And it's a lot of fun. If you haven't heard of it or anything like that, go check it out. This is a lot of fun, this game. But yeah, enough nonsense. Let's just get straight in. New game, survival, spaced out. Okay, now this is how you start. On the original, you'll get one big planet that your colony will be on. In the Spaced Out DLC, you get a lot of small planets or asteroids or whatever that your colony will be on, and you got to jump between the two, or three, or four, or five, however many asteroids you have in your galaxy and all that stuff. I see on this one, this randomized layout that we have here, we have the starting asteroid, and you can choose what you want your starting asteroid to be. These will come with different difficulties and different play styles, let's say. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but they all have different ways of doing things, start off and all that, to add different challenges to the game and to the playthrough. So we're just going to go with the standard one, or standard world trait, or standard asteroid, let's say. So our starting asteroid is a Terrania asteroid with no traits. Then we got the nearest asteroid is an irradiated forest asteroid. We got the oily swamp asteroid. A tundra asteroid is further away. Marshy Amu, I don't know what that is. A water superconductive and regolith asteroid. So we're going to basically be able to jump as we get further in the game from this asteroid to this asteroid. So it's kind of like you have one colony that you get started, and then you use what's on that asteroid to get you to the next one, depending on what resources you want, and you jump around between all the asteroids, and you can send your little people, your little duplicants into space. It's really cool. I just want to randomize it a bit more, set it a bit more random. Okay, so there we go. We got story traits. We can randomize that too. Is it random enough? There we go. Let's make it interesting. Whatever. I think that's going to be cool. Let's just dive straight in. Right, so now we're going to start. And on the beginning, once the game has finished setting up your little world, you're going to be able to pick your starting 3 dupes. Now, I like to start with a digger, a builder, and either a cook or a farmer. I'm thinking farmer. I think, let's go with the farmer, but let's have a look. So if you click the down arrow, down arrow over here, you can choose either random or from the different career paths that you can send your dupes down. So we want to go with a builder, a digger, and a farmer. Now I'm going to change the farmer to researcher. Let's do that, because research is important. You need to unlock all your technologies so that you can have access to all the different automation and refinement and quality of life, gas control, liquid control, solid control, all of that stuff. So let's do that. When I pick my starting dupes, they all dupes have interests, so I like to choose my first three to be very focused on their interests. So like, for example, the researcher here, he's only interested in researching. He has a +9 of science. Increased medicine. Now these traits, these are like things they're good at, that they're born with or printed with, or whatever you want to consider. So he's a caregiver, so he gets increased medicine, but he's a Luddite. And a Luddite, just to make them hook up their electronics, what? A Luddite is someone who does decreased machinery. Now that's a problem, that trait. So they're obviously not good with machinery, and that's going to create a bit of an issue considering they have to use machinery constantly. So let's re-roll that one. No, focus. Okay, here's a different one. Also got the caregiver trait. Also got only interest is researching. Caregiver trait for the medicine increase, and plant murderer. Now I'm not worried that the scientist kills the plants. Okay, he's obviously not good at farming. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. He doesn't need to worry about plants. So let's have a look. Okay, now we've got Turner, who's a digger, but you see he's got two traits. He's got digging and ranching. So I like the starting dupes to be focused in one thing, and this Nisbet is going to be pretty interesting. So their interest is obviously just digging. They got +8 excavation, so they get 200% digging speed and a 40% attack damage. So attack damage you don't have to really worry about. There's not much in this game that will kill you creature-wise. The only thing that's going to kill you here is not paying attention to what's going on with the elements. If you forget that to watch your oxygen and you end up not producing any oxygen, they will start to suffocate. If you make a mistake and flood the base and they can't get out, they will drown. They might even starve to death because we're not paying attention. Let's say the farms are, or the greenhouses and the ranches are not producing any food. They're not going to eat, and by the time we realize, or the game notifies you, it's typically too late. So you don't have to worry about attacking. There's no creatures that's going to hurt you. The other trait they have is a small bladder, which will mean that they need to use the toilets and the facilities a little faster than everybody else, right? But that's not really an issue. I don't see that as a hectic negative. And the game will always try and balance out a dupe. Like if you got a dupe that's got like a half focus in their interest, then they'll throw in sometimes one or two that they consider, or that the game would consider like negative. You get some that will come in with like a +12 on whatever their interest is, but then they'll have like a plethora of negative traits. But I like this one. Mole hands. I think this Nisbet is definitely a win. Now we got our builder. Builders in the beginning are always busy building. So let's see. Okay, here we go. We got germ resistant. That's pretty good as a trait. And shabby dresser. Now I don't think shabby dresser is really that much of a negative trait. It just means that the decor and the surroundings around them doesn't have to be as pretty to have a negative or positive effect. They're pretty just chill, happy with whatever is going on. So I like that. We also need to name the colony. So let's name it the Ant Farm. And you'll see why in a bit. Let's put some capitals in there. Come on, let's make it nice. There we go. The Ant Farm. ... Oh, we can't make dots. Okay. Well, let's embark. Let's go. Let's get our dupes on planet. Alright, there we go. Alert. The asteroid we call home has collided with an anomalous planet, decimating our colony. Rebuilding it is of the utmost importance. I've dedicated a new cluster of material-rich planetoids. I've detected a new cluster of material-rich planetoids in nearby space. If I can guide the duplicants through the perils of space travel, we could build a colony even bigger and better than before. Let us begin. Alright, so we are in. The game is going to obviously, let's just let it finish loading all the tutorials. So the game will give you these little tutorials like basic controls. You can have a read through that. Alright, pause it, read through it, whatever. and colony management. You can pause and read through that if you want. Alright, but basically here's our 3 dupes. Here's our planetoid, and they came in through the printing pod. That is like the heart of the base, right? That is the heart of the base. Now, day 1, moment 1, we start. Up here in the top left, you can see the planet or the colony. It's called the ant farm. It's a Terrania cluster, and this colony is one cycle old, and we've played for 0.11 hours. I don't even know what that would be, but anyway. No unusual features on this planetoid, so it's like a stock standard little rig. And then here's our dupe count. We have a population of 3 in this colony, and we've got 3 out of 3. If your dupe dies, it'll be displayed here. Basically, you'll notice when it's like, oh, you got 2 out of 3. Then when everybody knows, okay, you had 3, 1 died, something happened. Not good. There's the stress level for all the dupes after they've done their space travel, and they've obviously now just arrived on planet. They're a little bit stressed from that, but that'll go away quickly. Sick duplicate count, at the moment 0. Calories available, 16,000 calories in food. Then you've got your 3 playback speeds, a pause button, toggle red alert, and unlock new blueprints. So I'll run through all that later. Top right, you've got your vitals, so you can see what's going on, the morale, health. This is a quick overview. Your consumables, which again is a quick overview of what you have available for them to eat. Priorities. Now this is where you set your dupes to do what tasks first. So, everybody, new duplicants on this planetoid, these are the 3 dupes here. And these little pink squares, this is the, let's say their interest and their traits will make them better at it. You see, Nisbet's excavation skill, because she's the digger, is at 11, but Amari, who's not the digger, his skill is 0. So it's important. I don't know if important is right. It's part of the game is to have certain dupes perform certain tasks within their interests. You'll unlock their skills and develop them with those skills, let's say, down those different paths. So each one is different, and each one who's good at a specific task, let him do that task. And if they're not good at that specific task, rather have it on a less priority, so that the people who are good at that task will get the order to go do the work before the guys who have it as less of a priority, let's say. So I'm just going to put everything for everybody on very low for now, so they can spawn in and just be gentle, or not gentle, but not take over too much on what they need to do. That's fine. Let's just do all of this very low. This is also just how I like to set up. A lot of this gets done like in the beginning, to make things easier. I then also want to change. There are some things I don't want any dupes doing except the ones that are supposed to do it. So researching, for example, I only want our researchers. Stinky is our researcher, and I only want him doing research. I don't want any new dupes coming in with their unskilled trait or abilities or whatever hogging up the research stations. No one touches it but Stinky, because Stinky is the one who does the research. And then we'll put everybody else into their priorities. So Nisbet the digger gets the digging, Amari the builder gets the building priority, and that's how I'm gonna leave it set up. Every time we get a new dupe we can print every 3 cycles. So when that pops up, I'll run through that with you guys. So we're just gonna set that up like that for now. Schedule. This is quite in depth, but this schedule is very important as well to set up. So if we click a new schedule, you can choose basically how many dupes you want running on a 1 day cycle. Each cycle in the game is 600 seconds, so it's 10 minutes per cycle basically. And you can choose when your dupes go to sleep, when they wake up, when they go to toilet, all of that stuff. So what I like to do when I'm setting up the cycle is I immediately like to give them an extra downtime. And the reason for that is if you have more than 2 blocks of downtime in a cycle, right, then they get a morale bonus. So I like to do that right off the bat, so I know it's just easier to keep everybody happy when they have a little bit more downtime. Also, if they're further from base, or from the facilities of the base and all of that, and they're working in the outlying region and sections of the asteroid or the planetoid, then they have time to get back to use the facilities, to grab chow, all of that stuff. So first cycle, or first schedule, I just want to rename it to 1, very creative I know, and 2. Now typically I run 3 dupes on a cycle. That's just the easiest for me, for building layout and room sizes. We're going to go into all of that now, but 3 per cycle is what I find to be the most easiest for me. Sometimes I'll do 2 per cycle. It depends how many people are on the planetoid, what sort of environment the planetoid is, and how I've set up the facilities and all of that stuff on the planetoid. Right, so now that we've covered schedule, basically, I'll show you also, like, as we print more, we stick them, the new ones go on to more and more schedules. I think you can run about 10 schedules. I might need to be corrected. I do stand to be corrected, but I think it's 10 schedules at 3 dupes per schedule, which is 30 dupes, which is a lot of duplicants on a planetoid, especially in Spaced Out. That is like a lot, okay? So, but we'll, as the playthrough progresses and we go on, we'll fiddle with all of that stuff. Let's go to skills now. After scheduler skills, this is where the morale, you'll notice, comes in. And here we got the standard duplicant, so they get 1 morale point for being a duplicant, and your starting 3 will always start with the New Hope. The New Hope will go away eventually, you know. So that will fall away, so don't rely on it, but they have 2 morale points. When they develop their skill, this is their experience here, and you can see here, okay, Amari's got 3 experience points to the next skill, and he needs 3,035 experience to get to the next skill point. Once he gets a skill point available, you can put it into any one of these tier 1 skills, tier 2 skills, tier 3 skills, tier 4 skills, right? So as your little duplicant, let's take Amari for example, he is the construction guy, he's the builder. As he gets better experience and experience points, we'll stick him into construction. But now look what happens when I highlight this. All right, he's got 2 green, which is morale. That's how he's feeling. When you add a skill point, it requires 1 morale for that skill. If the duplicants have too low of a morale, they can have a negative side effect. Some of them cry, some of them binge eat, some of them vomit everywhere, because it'll throw their stress all the way up. Remember, we're looking over here at the stress. When they get to their threshold, or their stress threshold, and it goes above that stress threshold, they have negative things that'll happen. So if we go here to the bio of Amari, attributes, let me just see, where is it now? I can't remember. It's been a while since I played. It should be in the bio. Should be in the bio. I don't remember. Okay, I'll figure it out, and I'll show you guys later, probably when I figure it out. I can't remember how to check it now, but they all have a negative trait or action that will that they'll do when they get to their high stress level. I know this is taking long, just bear with me. It's a little bit of an explanation so that everybody knows what's potting. So if you're going to improve on your dupes, they will get stressed with the more skills you put on them. But if you keep their morale high, then you don't have to worry about it. Now, there is a difference between a skill and a skill that they are interested in. So if you have a look here, so we got 2 green. They're not interested in farming. Amari's not interested in farming. But if I give him the farming skill, he gets 1 morale need for having the farming skill, but no added bonus to the morale because it's not a trait or a skill that he's interested in. If I look at the difference here between improved construction and farming, all right, you see there he gets +1 morale because he's interested in the building, and +1 morale need because it's a skill. When you look at the agriculture, he just gets +1 to the morale need because he's not interested in agriculture. So picking dupes' interests in certain skills that you need them to be interested in for your colony is quite important. That's why, in the beginning, you'll see I pick my 3 setup. That's what I think is going to be the best start. And as I start printing, maybe the first 3 or 4, 5, I just look for the best out of the options they give me. Again, when that comes about, we'll explain and we'll have a moment to go through it. But I just randomly pick whoever I feel is the best of the 3 options, like in the beginning, just because in the beginning you need a lot more dumb labor. But the game will also throw you in options and to keep it interesting and stuff like that. And once I start getting to a population of like 8 dupes on a planetoid, then I start to get very picky about what dupes I print after that, if that makes sense. Then we can have a look. We can't open the research tree because we have no research facilities available. And here's the star map. So this is 100% where we are. There's something over there, something over there, something over there. Now, this part of the game, you're going to obviously build some rockets and then you're going to launch off this little asteroid and we're going to travel through space to get to there and discover what that is. And we've got to do the whole map. Alright? The whole map. But it's going to be a good time, so let's do it. View each cycle's colony report. We don't have a report yet because we haven't even started. This is the database. Anything you need to look up in the game is here, right? It explains everything in better detail than I ever will be able to, but this is important to have a go through. You'll see we'll go through this all the time. You do also have to do a little bit of maths with this game. You got to calculate things, which is what makes it fun. And then that's the game menu. Then the overlays you get. Now these overlays will show you all the different aspects of the game to see electrical grids, plumbing grids, ventilation or HVAC. It'll show you just basically oxygen and gases. For example, if we click here on the oxygen overlay, it shows us where the concentration, geez, like, what's wrong with me? It'll show you where the concentration of oxygen is. Unbreathable gases will be in red. Carbon dioxide is not breathable. Oxygen is. So the oxygen's in the blue, the light blue, and the carbon dioxide is in red. All your unbreathable gases will be in red. And then the next thing you'll notice is, for example, this is block of oxygen here is a light blue because it's concentrated. It's very breathable. But the one next to it is like a darker blue. It's breathable, but look at the grams. You see there it says oxygen, breathable gas, 803.7 grams breathable, and that's in that block. But if we go next to it, this oxygen on the light blue is 1059.2 grams, very breathable. So this is the high concentration. We kind of want our base to be filled with the light blue oxygen as much as possible, right? As much as is possible. That's what we want. And then we can run through some of these, but it'll make more sense as the game goes on. I mean, if we go to the electrical overlay, we obviously haven't placed any cabling down or power generators or batteries or nothing. So we'll go over more of it. This is the temp overlay. This is now the next most important thing, because most colonies die due to temperature in the mid game. Once you get to cycle 120, 150, if you haven't been paying attention to the temperature encroaching on your colony, because everything produces heat. Everything produces heat. That's scientific principle. Energy, whatever consumes energy, produces heat, right? That heat needs to go somewhere. So heat is one of the things that kills the colony, because your plants don't grow if it's too hot. Your farms won't grow. You'll have other issues and all of that stuff. It just keep an eye on the heat, keep an eye on the oxygen, keep an eye on the food, keep an eye on this. It gets really involved, which is what makes this game so much fun. It's very cleverly thought out, so definitely tip of the hat to the devs for this one. Material overlay, this will just show you all the raw ores and gases. You can click between the metals, minerals, filtration mediums, cultivatable soil, gases, liquefiables, liquids, and then miscellaneous, which is abyssalite. And you also get a light overlay, plumbing overlay, but we haven't laid any pipe, ventilation, we haven't put any HVAC down. Plants and decor. You see how the plants and the light makes things a bit more decorative and looks prettier. That's all for morale. That's a germ overlay, so I'll show you germs. You get, I think it's 4 different types of germs that can cause real bad problems in your little colony. And you get the farming overlay and the room overlay. Now this is the one you need to probably study, all right, in the beginning, just so that you have an understanding of the rooms, what their requirements are, their size spaces, what can be in there, what can't be in there, to get you the bonuses, because each room will give you a morale bonus. So if you have a look at a barracks, for example, which is sleeping room, basically a simple barracks with 1 or more bed, no industrial machinery, minimum size, maximum size, and the effects it is 100% stamina regain per cycle plus +1 morale. Okay, that is the important part. Remember, every time you give a dupe a skill point, it's going to require a morale need. So if you have a duplicant with 13 skills, that duplicant is going to require a 13-point morale in place. You're never going to achieve that on their base morale. They get 1 morale for being a dupe. If they fresh spawns and they got the New Hope bonus, which I think only lasts, I can't remember, I think it's like 5 cycles or 10 cycles or something like that. They get that bonus one. If they're printed, which you'll see later on in the 3rd cycle, if they're printed, they don't get that +1 morale bonus. So the rooms are really important. And in the beginning, you'll start out with like a barracks. They'll get a +1 morale. When you upgrade to a luxury barracks, they'll all of a sudden get a +2 morale. Well, if you upgrade to private bedrooms, they'll get +3 morale. You know, here's a latrine toilet, which is basically a long drop in a hand basin of water to wash your hands in. You get +1. But when you have a fully plumbed out washroom or bathroom, then you get a +2. So building these rooms, upgrading these rooms, and sorting all of these rooms out is quite important, because that's what's going to get you your biggest boosts in morale. All right. And of course, the higher morale they have, the more skills you can give them. The more skills you give them, the quicker they can accomplish tasks, the better for the colony it is. You've got to create a system that, complicated system and all of that stuff. But yeah, study this. You know, if you want to know more about it, you can go to the database, scroll down. Here it is, rooms. Here's all the different rooms you need to know about: recreation rooms, science rooms, washrooms, sleep rooms, parks. All of it is here for you to easily look up. And then we have the radiation overlay. This little bug, because it creates so much on the photons are radioactive. Anyone who knows science knows this. And basically you got to use nuclear radiation and stuff like that over time. All right, but let's get some setup going. The planetoid, as you can just see this is the edge of the map, and you can just see what's going on there. So you can see that this These planetoids are really small, and we can see also that it's not centered. We can see also that it is not centered. Alright, because here, when we go to the edge of the map, we can still see what's going on here, but when we flip it the other way, and we go the other side, the whole thing disappears. So we know that our printing pod is not centered. I do have a typical base layout that I do, so let's just give a run out of that quickly, or run down of that. The first thing I want to do is just mention the rooms, the room development. You need raw materials to build stuff. Here, down here in the bottom left, this is where you choose all the stuff you want to build. You got ladders, tiles, storage facilities, doors, anything related to oxygen production, power production and power components, food and food production, plumbing, all of that stuff. Ventilation, which we haven't unlocked because we haven't studied it. You see it's got the little atom thingamabob there, that little symbol. You need to research it. So before we can even show you the ventilation system or the refinement system, we have to put down a research bench. Also the medical system, furniture, and stations. Now stations is where they're going to do their work. Certain stations can be in certain rooms. Some rooms require certain stations, so on and so forth, but we'll get into all of that later on. And down here in the bottom right is your options, like dig, cancel whatever activity you've tasked him to do, deconstruct something, priority settings, sweep up, which is clean up all the solid material, and then mop up, which is to clean up all the spilt liquids. We've got harvesting, disconnect tool. Fun fact, little fun fact side note, the disconnect tool wasn't part of the original game. It was actually a mod, and then on one of the updates that the devs did, they included that mod into the game because it was actually very cleverly thought out. Yeah, that's the fun fact. So tip of the hat as well to the modding community. A lot of the times modders, they get it very right. They come up with things or see things needed that the devs didn't think about and that sort of thing. But this game is just well put together. It's really nicely polished. I thoroughly enjoy this. So disinfect for killing the germs, attack, wrangle and catch all the animals that we need, and empty pipes. Alright, but let's begin with base layout. Alright, in the beginning you need to have an idea, or you don't need to. I suppose you'll develop your own style as you play the game more. But let's just quickly go to the rooms over here, and I like to put the printing pod in a science laboratory for a couple of reasons. So we must have 2 science buildings and no industrial machinery, minimum size of 32, maximum size of 120. Alright, now I start in the middle of that. 64 square tiles is what I like a room to be, because the average of the rooms is 64 tiles, except the dining room. That's probably a bad example, but here we go. A bedroom size, maximum size, and it has a maximum height. So maximum size is 64 tiles and a maximum height of 4 tiles. So if we have a look here and we go to the dig setting, 1 2 3 4, that is now the perfect size. Now we're going to go 64 because I like 64. Then we're going to put a door here and we're going to do a little landing. Alright. And I'm going to have this be the edge of the base. This is something to be discovered later. We're not going to worry about that right now. We need to get a base set up. So the most important thing is we need to get toilets up and running. Then we need to get place for the guys to sleep, for the dupes to sleep. And then we need to get a place for them to eat. Those are the 3 most important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here just underneath the science room. There's 64. And let's just jump here quickly to the bedrooms, and let's go to the facilities. Washroom, maximum size 64 tiles. And a train, maximum size 64 tiles. So I like my bases a little bit asymmetrical in that sense. That's how I enjoy them. So I'm going to build bases like that. So this is 1 2 3. That's for our ladder system. We're going to put a ladder up here. Yeah, so we're going to put a ladder up here. And we're going to have a science room, we're going to have a washroom or a toilet. There's the landing, there's the door, and then we're going to go here and go 64 tiles. Boom. Double check, is that right? That's right, cool. Now we're going to dig out all of that ladder run. And let's unpause and let the dupes get cracking with what needs to be done. So cool. Duplicate movements. Let's just quickly, you can, it's a little video, you gotta watch this. Alright, well you can watch that. I don't really feel like watching that right now. I watched it I think too many times as it is. But we need them to start digging. So they're all gonna do the digging work because there's no other work for them to perform. So let's get some building stuff done because that's going to be important for the next bit. And here we go. Ladder, which must go in the ladder run. And I'll show you now why I do that jump. Okay. So that's going to be the ladder room. Now let's set up. Now the germs in this game can become quite problematic. If you don't pay attention, your whole colony gets sick. If your dupes are sick, they don't perform their tasks as quickly, and you only have 600 seconds per cycle to get stuff done. Right? Constant plants need constant fertilizing, constant care. Animals and on the ranches and that, they need constant care. Production needs constant care. Cooking needs attention. All of those tasks. If your dupes is sick, you're gonna have a bad time. It's not gonna be good. Alright, it's not gonna be fun. So let's quickly set up our little washroom so that we know that these retards, because these dupes are dumb. Alright, I'm going to be straight with you. Dupes are dumb. Something is not something in their brain. They are going to constantly get themselves into bad situations. So you need to be prepared and aware and ready for that. I want to just quickly also go on the priorities here and show you that. Dupes need constant supervision and prioritizing. They will decide if everything is at a level 5 priority, which is the mid. They will decide which way they go. They don't have a brain cell in there that's going to tell them go left, go right, do that first, do that first. They're not going to think like that. They're just going to go, a task needs to be done. That's what's a priority for my priority and my skills. That's the task I'm going to go do. But you can fiddle with the priority settings right here and get them to focus on what you want them to focus on. You see how we had 2 dupes running this way. We had Stinky and Nisbet run this side, right? But we need them to build the bathroom first, because the first thing they're going to need to do is use the toilet. And we don't want them making a mess all over the floor. So we tell them, go this side, do that. Set that up. There, let's get some toilets going. Now the wash basins are there to wash the germs off their hands. You've got to have a washroom basin for them to get the germs off their hands. Otherwise, again, you're not going to have a good time. And now I also am going to need water here for these duplicants to put into the washroom and all of that stuff. I must click there. But you see the pattern of the layout. So we're going 1, 2, 3. That's supposed to be 4. I must click there as well. So we're going levels 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a floor level. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a floor level. Right? Then we want to dig out everything in between. And I'll explain why now. Because gases cannot, 2 different gases cannot occupy the same space. Alright? 2 gases cannot occupy the same space. You have to have 2 non-solid tiles for the gases to move past each other. Otherwise, they just won't. Alright? We're going to build a pitcher pump. That's going to help us get our water. And we need to prioritize this over here. They need to come and focus on this and this and this. You know what? They need to focus on this as well. Why is that an 8? Let's make that a 9. Make it a 9. There we go. And we can hit there. I'm hoping we're going to get this all done today. I'm a little bit worried we won't, because the water is a little bit further away than normal. So let's just see what's happening. Oh, the other thing is, if we go to our oxygen overlay, because we're digging out solids, it creates a vacuum to remove those solids. So then you need oxygen to come around. You need the oxygen to come around and fill up that void. You cannot have gas or liquid or solid on the same space. All right? You can have gas and liquids on top of buildings, but not solids. But the majority, oh goodness, something bad happened. But all the other times, you cannot have a liquid, a solid, or a gas occupying the same square. Right? So you have to dig out, you got to wait for your oxygen to come around. So if we look at the oxygen overlay, look at how much of a mess this is. We want everything to be this light blue. We've just dug all this out, and look at it. The oxygen in here is a dark blue going to purple. It's breathable, but not great. Down here, barely breathable in this little space. All of this, carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide sinks, oxygen rises. So you know what's going to happen there. We also got this big plume over here of carbon dioxide that's going to come and fall down, because now we've opened up this space on our way out. So yeah, now there's no solid, the gas is going to come through there. Now I do want them to hurry up with this, so I'm going to give it a yellow priority. A yellow alert. That's going to interrupt their schedule and get them to do exactly what we need them to do, so that we don't have a mess, basically. Now, something I want to just point out also in the washroom quickly. You see this green arrow, 2-directional arrow? Oh no, they're falling asleep already. They are falling asleep. This is not good. But they're almost there. The 2-directional arrow will tell them when they come past, whichever direction the arrow is facing, and they're going past the wash basin in that direction, they'll wash their hands on that direction. Now, you don't want them to come in, wash their hands, go to the toilet, wash their hands on the way out. So you've got to set that direction. And let's set it all to left, because they're going to go in, go to bathroom, right? And once they have gone to the bathroom, then they will, I just want to prioritize all of that at 9. Once they've gone to the bathroom and used the facilities, they will get germs on their hands. Okay. This is going to be interesting, but okay. And they'll disinfect. And when they go past, if this basin had water, they would wash their hands. But because there was no water in the basin, they couldn't wash their hands, so they didn't. Watch Stinky now. As he goes past after disinfecting, boom, he washes his hands. So let's pause it and let's go to the germ overlay. And they get germs from using the toilet, touching things that are dirty, like rot pile and stuff like that. They can get food poisoning germs from that, and they need to wash their hands. Do you see how this pitcher pump is now covered in food poisoning germs? Nisbet and Amari are covered in food poisoning germs. So let's take them. We'll just make them quickly go into the bathroom so that they can wash their hands. Everything they touch is getting full of germs. Look at that. Stinky was clean. He touched the dirty pitcher pump. Now he's dirty. So we need to sort out a quick disinfectant of base, because basically what's happening is everybody's getting dirty, and we need to disinfect everything, because they spread those germs and everybody's going to get sick, and then we're going to have a colony of dupes vomiting everywhere because they got food poisoning or something. You know, don't need that to happen. We do not need that to happen. So let's just disinfect everything. and then we'll tell the two dupes that are still dirty, like stinky, he can just move to over there. And Omori, as soon as Omori's done that, we'll make him move to over there. And what that'll do is it'll force them to wash their hands on their way out. And there we go. No more germs. Crisis averted. Nice. Here's a whole bunch of tutorials as well if you want to watch these. Or pause and read through. And another video on plumbing. So the game is forgiving in that sense. It will run the tutorials for you. It'll explain how things are going. The main thing that as a new player, what you got to get your head around on Oni is just to watch all the important factors that are going to happen. All the important things. Just keep an eye on the important stuff, like the food, like the water supply, like all the supplies you need to worry about. You keep an eye on that, everything else is going to be just fine.